We are live. We are live. Welcome to college football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do us well, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends if you want to support this college football independent rebel outpost for college football sickos like you with a donation to help us keep the lights on and grow the channel. Just hit that $ where you make your comments and I will get to your super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome everybody into the studio that sits on the corner, the very corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to become a legend with your comments and with your phone calls. Welcome on in, everybody. It is Friday, May 1st. Friday, May 1st. This is the 24-year anniversary. 24 years when I went down on one knee. The little general was sitting on a bench. I think it was Lake Nokomis in Minneapolis. I think. I might be wrong. I heard a yell out there. Anyways, 24-year anniversary of me asking the little general to marry me. I said it in Spanish. She answered yes in English. And the rest is history. So I've had a little bit more, I've had a lot more time to digest what happened with Amazon. Amazon, this is a massive story. We said it was yesterday, but after talking to a couple of people, yeah, we're going to look back. We're going to look back on April 30th, 2026, and it's going to be one of those days. Amazon, I have seen people speculate. I have seen, we've had discussions on this, that maybe Amazon is going to do what Netflix does. Maybe they're going to just come in, do a few basketball games, a few college football games, get a little bit of deal here, a little bit of deal there, and then that's going to be it. That's going to be it. They're going to be what Netflix is. I don't think so. I don't think so. Jimmy Austin, 28 years ago today. Wow. Congratulations, Jimmy Austin. 28 years ago today that I asked my wife's hands. Congrats to you, Jimmy. Congrats to you. No, Amazon, look, Amazon wants the very top content, but they're not in it for just a little bit. They're not just putting their beak in the water to get it wet. Remember, Amazon already went hard after Big Ten. They wanted a big scoop of the Big Ten. I'm not going to use that word. They wanted a lot of Big Ten content. And they got turned down by the Big Ten presidents. It was close, but they got turned down by Kevin Warren and the presidents. Not so much by Fox. But now everyone is looking at streaming a whole lot differently. More people are aware that live sporting events are on these big streaming channels, platforms, I should say. The world is changing. And Amazon is going to be a huge part of college sports. This is, so I got, as the little general will let you know, this is I was planning on starting this show a couple of hours ago. But again, I do a lot of work. I do a lot of work on the phones, and this was one of those days. Amazon is coming. Amazon is coming, and it is forces of consolidation, and Amazon's going to be leading it. Amazon's not going to lose. Amazon's going to be one of the winners. They just are. They just are. Who's going to go with them is the question. Not if Amazon is going to be there. And again, it's why we have Amazon in the Holy Smokes Theater. We put Amazon in the Holy Smokes Theater, I don't know, guys, about 6 months ago? Because of all the chatter behind the curtain, we had to put them in there. And this is going to... I have been told that Amazon is going to... Amazon is basically telling Michigan Oregon, Washington, USC, Ohio State, Penn State. Amazon is basically telling the Big Ten top kahunas, look, you're wondering what we can do for you? Watch. And that is what this Duke is all about. We're going to get to Duke in a moment. I know, look, some of you are saying, great. We've already talked about this. You never talk about anything 2 days in a row. Ladies and gentlemen, what happened on April 30th was humongous. It was gigantic. Now everybody knows. Not exactly how it's going to look like, but everybody knows there is a new giant coming on in. It's not just going to be for Duke for a few games. That's not how it is. The Duke is a unique situation. Amazon, they're fine with the unique situations. It's a very unique, beautiful taste in salad, but Amazon wants the steak. They want the steak. And now they can show some interested buyers out there. Now they're going to be able to show what they can actually do with the presentation. This whole NIL situation, having these players be able to promote the Duke basketball games, and it's not going to just be the basketball players, it's going to be other Duke athletes. That was reconfirmed by me, not by me, by somebody that I talked to today. We've talked about how the Big Ten, how the SEC, how the Big 12, how the ACC, how they want to go internationally into other markets. They've been talking with people, with experts, with private equity firms who've got networks with other different sponsors, and here is Amazon. The exact words of the title of this live show is Duke's Very Good Moment. And I do think now that I was able to do a whole full day of research and talking with people on the phone, I think I even undersold that. Again, at College Football Peek Around the Corner, we've had Duke as a third or fourth tier Big Ten candidate. And I'm not putting them up on the stage. I don't even think I'm going to have them in the first row, but maybe I'm going to have to at some point. This was a very good moment for Duke. Very good moment. I mean, there's stuff out there, right? Amazon, the person who leads Amazon's, I don't know what his title is, but he's the guy in charge of making that decision when it comes to trying to acquire live sports packages, sports acquisitions, sports media acquisitions, something like that. Person in charge of at Amazon is a former Duke water polo player. But besides all of those intangibles that are flying around out there, Amazon made it a point to get this deal done with Duke. And Duke was able to get this deal done with ESPN and ABC to say non-conference games, not games at Cameron Indoor Basketball Arena, against Michigan, against UConn, in New York City, in Las Vegas. This was a very good moment for Duke. It shows that they are wanted inside the secret sauce of Amazon. Now, it doesn't mean that Amazon doesn't want others more, but those others could not be taken for whatever sport. Like, let's just say Amazon secret sauce tells them that that Clemson football, for example, is something that they would love to have a non-conference game. Clemson football versus Notre Dame, for example. That Amazon would love to have that Clemson Notre Dame game at a neutral site, one of those 12 years or whatever years that they play each other. Clemson and Notre Dame. They would love to have that game. Notre Dame, you talk to NBC. Clemson, you talk to ESPN and who knows? Maybe Amazon has other such things that they're talking about that their secret sauce tells them is even more valuable than the Duke's 3 basketball games. But it is Duke that could get it done. Not to mention, now let's not kid ourselves. Or maybe I'm kidding myself. The first year, which is this year, 2026-27, Duke's basketball on Amazon, those 3 non-conference games, I mean, what type of viewership is that going to get? I don't know. None of us are going over to Amazon. None of us are going over to Amazon and turning on college basketball. So again, it's not like I don't think it's going to shoot out like a big number. Remember the first year with Amazon and NFL Thursday Night Football. Those numbers were not out. They lost. The NFL lost some ratings, at least at the beginning. Because basically Duke is the product, the content that starts to educate us, the masses, that Amazon is carrying college basketball, special college basketball. So it's going to take a while for the audience to get massaged into watching college basketball on Amazon. The point is, Amazon, they're not just going to put, this is not temporary, and they're not going to do it just with Duke. They're coming in, and they're coming in big. It's not going to be just basketball. It's going to be football. Stormy Cyclone, it's not just all about the Big Ten, Greg. There's other conferences going to be involved with Amazon. I don't even know if the Big Ten's going to be the one that is involved with Amazon. I'm not saying look, Amazon tried to get into the Big Ten last time, and they couldn't. I do think the Big Ten is going to have a good shot at it. I think the Big Ten is that's why, as you know, Stormy Cyclone and others who have watched us here, why we have Amazon and the Holy Smokes Theater is that we have been told, we reported this, that whatever the Big Ten is gaming out in regards to conference realignment in regards to the next media partnerships and how all that is structured, Amazon is part of the plan. But it does not mean that it's a for sure certainty that Amazon is going to be part of the Big Ten's future plan. I would guess I would put my chips in the middle of the table and bet that they would be, but nothing is for certain. It could be SEC. Less likely ACC and the Big 12, but who knows? And maybe Amazon will do more than one conference. I don't doubt that. But I believe, well, the long conversations that I've had today was around the Big Ten, to be honest with you. And not with the Big Ten person, but with people in the industry. And they believe that there's going to be an Amazon Big Ten component at the end of the day. When it's all said and done, when the Big Ten does its next media contract, we shall see. Will it be exclusive? Well, Fox is not. I mean, Fox is with the Big 12, so we shall see. And of course, it's not certain. It's not certain. But Amazon is coming in. And supposedly what I was told is Amazon is going to show everybody what they can do for the student athletes in this era of NIL. That is the big component with all of this. Number one, Amazon's international reach. Number two, what Amazon can do for the student athlete, because they're going to be involved in the promotion. I don't even want to bring it. There's a couple of ideas that are circling around out there. And it even involves Amazon shipping, name, image, and likeness. Stickers everywhere, stickers on the boxes, codes, QR code. There is stuff out there, guys, that people are wondering about, people are talking about. Amazon's going to go all in on this. This is not just tipping the toes in the water to see if it's hot or cold. Amazon has already made attempts, and now they finally successfully has gotten in. And from the Duke standpoint, very good moment for Duke. And it could be an indicator. It could be an indicator of why people believe, certain people believe, like a Brett Yormark, that, I don't know, like a UConn, for example, might be valuable enough for the Big 12 that they should get them in the door. Big market, not a football market, a basketball market, but UConn basketball, men's and women's on Amazon, going out internationally and, of course, across the United States of America. It could bring up the value of Big 12 basketball where you decouple it, you can sell it on its own, and it's going to bring in more bucks. I don't know. It could be a very good day for the Kansas Rock Chalk Jayhawk. It could be a big day. It could be a big day for basketball in general. If we see that this Duke 3 non-conference games on Amazon, how well it does, and how the NIL student athletes, how they are better supported by NIL, whatever Amazon does here. But there are plans. Amazon, this is going to be Amazon, this is a job interview. Amazon has a job interview going on. They're trying to show their wear. They're trying to show their worth to any potential buyer. Big Ten, SEC, ACC, Big 12. And this is a job interview for Duke. It really is. We have reported to you many months ago that Duke was on the Big Ten candidates list. We don't have them on the first tier. But we've always had them in the Holy Smokes Theater, but we do not have them on stage. We did at one point. And then Brett McMurphy came out and said the Big Ten has a huge candidate list, and it's all the ACC schools it's all the ACC AAU schools, and it's all the Big 12 AAU schools, and of course Duke is one of them. Moen, our friend from College Football Mafia show, he has told everybody who watches his show that there is this Duke, that there are people in the Big Ten very interested in Duke, Michigan. There's interest. There is. From the academic, from the research, from very good moment for Duke. And what does it all mean? We are going to go more into this in the back half of the monologue. Very good day for Duke yesterday. And Amazon is coming on in. And we're talking about the forces of consolidation. Again, I just want to make this a couple of major points that were explained to me today, and this is the peek around the corner. This is the one that I want to try to get through to everybody. It's why we had Amazon in the Holy Smokes Theater. And when we talked about Amazon, the Holy Smokes Theater, we said they were going to be a little bit different than Netflix. If you go back and watch those live shows, that they were going to come in for a big enchilada. It was told to me that Amazon is coming in big, not small. They want college sports content. They're coming in big. And the Big Ten is the next one up on to negotiate with Amazon. So when people say, Greg, there may not be room for more consolidation. There might not be room for more expansion. I don't know. Everything that I'm hearing is completely different than that. So buckle up and brace for impact. We continue our journey in the Holy Smokes Theater. I do not have a Holy Smokes Theater update today. I think that for me is an impossibility, because again, I wish I could convey this more clearly. But this is going to change a lot. It's going to change how Fox and ESPN deals with their conferences, universities, and student athletes. Supposedly. This is going to change a lot. You know, we are not in a CBA world right now. There is no collective bargaining. In a collective bargaining world, in the NFL and the NBA, not all, but a lot of NIL deals are pretty small. I mean, the top athletes, of course, they make a whole lot of money, name, image, and likeness. But a lot of them, they make good money. But the NBA and the NFL make sure that these name, image, and likeness deals are not inducements to play for our team. In other words, these NIL deals cannot be an end around the cap. The cap in the NFL, the cap in the NBA, the soft cap in the NBA. That is part of the CBA. That's part of the collective bargaining agreement. Look what's going on with Leonard, the Los Angeles Clippers basketball player, Kawhi Leonard. That deal, that NIL deal that he has, it's fake, and basically the Clippers are being invested. These fake NIL deals are not allowed in a lot of these professional leagues with a CBA, because that's an inducement. You're going around the cap. But in college sports, a media company coming on in, and part of their payment schedule, part of what they pay out. But let's use the Big 12, for example. If Amazon got a deal, if Amazon and Brett Yormark, and I do think, Brett Yormark is strategizing. Brett Yormark, with this Redbird Capital, he's trying to get better leverage in the next media rights negotiations. He's going to have a streaming company part of the negotiations. I don't know if it's going to be Amazon. But if you imagine if Amazon had a deal with the Big 12, so we won't use the Big 10 here. Although I got to say, basically all my conversations today had to do with the Big Ten. Because Amazon was extremely interested in the Big Ten last time. You can imagine, like an Amazon with the Big 12, part of the media deal is NIL, constructed around NIL. For these student athletes. And how Amazon can market all these players on their international platform in so many different ways. And that can be all part of this, because there is no salary cap. There's not going to be a revenue share cap, but there is no, there may not be any NIL restrictions after we get to the Nebraska 18 arbitration case, which sounds like it's going to extend late in the next week, because I think they've approved the extension, or they're going to approve the extension beyond the 5 days, because of both sides wanting to appeal this, appeal that, whatever. But this Amazon thing is not just about Amazon's reach, which is way over $100 million subs internationally. It's not just about the money they got. It's about the flexibility and the way they can brand and monetize, market your student athletes. So Fox and ESPN might have to do some readjusting, but Amazon is coming on in big full force. All right, we are going to do, so we're going to get back into that. Jason Spangler thinks Amazon Sports Broadcasting is a joke. All right, we are going to get into this again. We're going to talk about the conversations that I've had. We'll get your take on it. We are going to do the Oklahoma Sooner Spotlight. Today is the Oklahoma Sooner Spotlight, May 1st. Let me show you guys something here. If you have, this is the Spotlight series that we have put on so far. Miami, April 13th, USC, Boston College, Kentucky. You can see the team and the date. So if you missed your favorite team, or if you want to take a look at the spotlight of a certain team, go back on our live show, dated on these dates, and there, that is the team that we spotlighted on that day. So we did the Georgia Bulldogs on April 26th, the Gophers on the 25th, California on the 24th, Duke on the 23rd, Houston on the 22nd. The last of them have been Georgia Tech, Michigan, Michigan State, Texas A&M, and today, the Oklahoma Sooners. The Oklahoma Sooners. That is today. So, again, if you missed it, go back and watch it. So we're going to be doing the Sooners today. We're going to give you an update on our I Do Declare competition among the PATC Einsteins, where you all make a prediction. We book it, and then during the season, we give you points. We take away points from your score, and at the end of the college football championship game, we are going to declare who is the I Do Declare college football world champion, and it's going to be one of you PATC Einsteins, and then we're going to ship an award out to you from societyawards.com. Somebody is going to be the world champion. Somebody is going to have the trophy. Somebody's going to hoist that trophy above their heads and become the first world PATC I Do Declare champion. We'll give you an update on the latest predictions. We're also going to be talking about UCF. They said no. They said no to the credit, the credit line that they could have received in the Big 12's capital deal. They said no, we're going to go through that. And then there was some news that I got to tip off. I got to tip off early this morning. I started off with this. I was told I usually don't do an emoji. I usually don't do something like this. I had to think an emoji. I got tipped off on a specific news item that has to do with the Minnesota Golden Gophers. And then when I saw that they were going to be, it was going to be published, I did this. Oh boy. To my thinking emoji. And then, unfortunately, the news came out. Gophers quarterback Drake Lindsay arrested on underage drinking, fake ID charges. Lindsay turns 21 in August. He was arrested in his hometown of Fayetteville, Arkansas. I'm going to give you my take on that. And again, I got to say this. My take on this situation is definitely, most definitely, in the minority among Golden Gopher fans. Without a doubt, it's in the minority. I'm going to give you my take on that as well. So we got a lot to get through today. I do appreciate all you joining us. And we've got our first super chat of the day from Bimba7579. You know, when I first read this, I'm thinking a Michigan Wolverine fan is declaring a Utah head coach. It's like I still see the name Whittingham, and I'm thinking Utah head coach. I'm still not, even though we've already done the spotlight on Michigan. We already did the spotlight on Michigan. When I read Whittingham, I'm thinking Utah first, not Michigan. Bimbus 75-79. I do declare Whittingham wins the Big Ten Coach of the Year. Holy smokes. My goodness.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Bimbus 75-79 is a believer. He's a believer in Coach Whittingham. He's a believer in Whittingham coaching his Michigan Wolverines. Big Ten Coach of the Year. That would mean that Jordan Marshall had a brilliant year. That would mean that that Bryce Underwood has gotten a whole lot better. That would mean that Michigan does make the college football playoffs. Bimbus 75-79. I'm going to have to give that up. I'm going to have to give that a 3 or a 4 on the valuation chart. It's not a 2. It's not a 1. It's not a 5. It's a 3 or a 4. Thank you so much, Bimbus 75-79. I appreciate it so very much. And we've got another I do declare prediction from Heartbreak 25. I do declare Penn State will finish the season 2-10. Hash mark, feeling lucky like Greg the Cold. All right, ladies and gentlemen. We will book that in. That is going to be a 5-pointer, Heartbreak 25, obviously, because the chances of Penn State going 2-10 is not good. But let me get to this Greg the Cold situation. Not only is this not the year of Greg the Cold, Heartbreak 25, in the rest of you PATC Einsteins, I think this might be the end. I think we're looking at the end of the re-elected mayor of Louisville City, yours truly. Do you know what happened last night? Do you all know what happened last night? Huh? The Minnesota Wild win. They advanced for the first time in a couple of years. Now they're playing against the Colorado Avalanche. The Minnesota Wild defeated the Dallas Stars. All right, put that away for now. Just push that aside for now. Do you know what happened later in the evening? Minnesota Timberwolves, the first NBA team to win a playoff game without three players that are averaging double digits in scoring to win a playoff game. They're down DiVincenzo. They down Anthony Edwards. They're down Ayo Dosunmu. They're down. Did you see what they did? They defeated Denver in Game 6. They defeated the Nuggets once again. And now the Timberwolves are going to go on and advance to play the San Antonio Spurs. One of the most courageous NBA playoff games I have ever seen since Willis Reed of 1973 for the New York Knicks, or 71, or whatever that year was. That was inspirational. I think Greg the Cold is gone. I think Greg the Cooler is no more. I think the mayor of Louisville City is leaving office. This is a whole new year, ladies and gentlemen. Did you watch what happened last night? Just wait till you see my picks against the spread in 2026. Thank you for the $5 holler. I very much appreciate it. Heartbreak 25. Thank you for the prediction. And we will book it. We will book it. And now we've got another super chat from Preston, North Carolina. Unbelievable. No respect. No respect at all. Unbelievable. It's definitely not the year of Greg the Cold. It's the decade. Wow. Wow, Grateful Trojan. Gonna get swept by the Avs. Don't matter, Greg. The Knicks are winning it all. Wow. Unbelievable. Unbelievable comments. Unbelievable comments. All right. Greg doesn't like my dude. I do not know. I don't know where it is. Expansion Crush. I do declares have to come in on a super chat. Even if it's 99 cents a super chat. And we are not gonna Khalil Leonard, not Kiwan. Khalil Leonard. And we're doing a donation to the Special Olympics of Minnesota. So that's what we're doing. But YouTube, it's not an official charity drive. And it's not a gambling game. No one's going to win any money, but they are going to win a trophy. I got to make this clear for the YouTube algorithms. Not an official charity drive, not a gambling game. You got to donate to get your I Do Declares in, and then you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to take care of that, and then I'm going to mail a trophy from my own cost to you. So, anyways, that's the best way that I can explain it. Okay. Appreciate it. Okay, first of all, let me get to the bad news here. Let's get the bad news out of the way. I got word this was coming down about 3 or 4 hours before it was actually put up. I was not going to break this. And there was no way that I could get it completely confirmed on what happened. So I put it out, an emoji out there, and I waited, and here it is. Gophers quarterback Drake Lindsay arrested on the underage drinking fake ID charges. Lindsay turned 21 in August. He was arrested in his hometown of Fayetteville, Arkansas. He was drinking. He had a fake ID in his pocket. He was not driving. And this is my take on it. I'm in the minority of the Golden Gopher fans. It's not the end of the world. Minor setback for a major comeback. But this whole idea that, we all did it. That we all college students. We drank before we turned 21. Fake ideas and all. Fine. Fine. Look, I went to St. Cloud State. You know what St. Cloud State is known for? Google it. Google it. St. Cloud State University, they got a Division I hockey team. The Herbie Brooks Arena, holy smokes. My goodness. My goodness. My longtime friend, holy smokes. I'll get to St. Cloud State in a moment. Massive super chat, longtime friend. Daniel Montcastle, Indiana Hoosiers. Indiana wins it all again. Holy smokes. Daniel, I appreciate the incredible support. I appreciate your friendship. You're always touting this program. You're always pushing out my content. We're always laughing at each other. Look, Mr. Montcastle and I knew each other a long time ago, and he knew about the USC stuff well before 99.99% of the country did. And I'm always thankful that Expansion Crushed gave me an opportunity to present the evidence, and he did not laugh at me. He understood what was going on, and I really, really appreciate that. The support that we get in this program is not just monetarily, this is a different type of college football program, right? We try to be entertaining. I sing, I laugh, I cry, I make fun of myself. You guys make fun of me. And we have a lot of fun talking college football every single day. The monetary support has to be there because I spent a lot of time doing this. The Little General is okay with me doing all this as long as I can treat her to a dinner once in a while, and we're able to. We've got all this new equipment, and that's all because of you guys. The monetary support needs to be there, and it's there. But the friendships also need to be there. Because you guys know how much I lean on you guys, even during a live show. When I watch other channels, they don't have their head on the swivel. They're not even looking at breaking news. A lot of them don't even do phone calls. I mean, they're all great and everything. They all have great panels. They do great interviews. I don't do any of that stuff because I want to make it about you guys. But all that has to be there for this to work, and it's all there. And Daniel Montcastle is a great, Expansion Crush is a great example of that. So I appreciate you, Expansion Crush. This program would not be around if it wasn't for you. I don't think I'm overselling that. So I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And again, the other fascinating part about this is Indiana won it all. We keep talking about the incredible changes that are going on in college football, but Indiana is like the biggest and brightest evidence of that. Mr. Expansion Crush and I, we used to wallow together at the bottom of the Big Ten before PJ Fleck arrived, and now Minnesota has risen just above half on the Big Ten equator, whatever. Minnesota's just above half on the top half, and now Indiana's all the way to the top. So if that doesn't tell you how college sports has changed, I don't know what does. Thank you, Expansion Crush. Wow, that is booked. Indiana wins it all. Now I'm going to have to give that a. Any team winning it all is not a 1. A 2 is in the Ohio State, Oregon sphere, Texas sphere. So I'm probably going to have to give this evaluation of 3 points. So if you get it right, Expansion Crush, you get 3 points. If you get it wrong, it's a minus 3 points. That's how this game is played. The world champion at the end of all this might have a final score of minus 11. You don't even have to be in the plus territory to win this. Who knows? I don't know. Look, you guys keep saying you're PATC Einsteins and I'm Greg the Cooler. We're going to find out. We're going to find out later at the end of the season who is the true Einstein amongst all of you. Amongst all of you. Expansion Crush 5. The Gophers are a 5. Who's a 4? Who's a 4? Utah is a 4, right? Matt, Utah's a 5. I mean, most declarations of a team winning it all is a 5. Dave Hoosier, that's the one, because everyone knows, look, you get more points if you get it right in, if it's a 3. Anyways, look, LSU would be a 4. Yeah. LSU's a 4. Penn State's a 5. Utah, you're right. He's on the kid. You're right. Most of them is a 5. Look, ladies and gentlemen, the valuation points, and let me just show you guys. I'll get to my St. Cloud thing in a second here. All right? The valuation points, it's not science. It's a little bit of science, it's a little bit of art. And it's probably, there's probably other things in there, like how hungry was I when I made the decision how many points. There's going to be a lot of controversy. There is going to be a lot of controversy during this competition. D. Don is going to complain that if he gets it right, that it wasn't more points. But if he gets it wrong, that it wasn't 1 or 2 points. Same with Ryan Willie, same with Alani Ted, same with Brooks, same with Jacoby Cat, same with all of you. There is going to be a lot of controversy. And we love controversy here at Peek Around the Corner. So we'll go over these during that whole lot. Again, we keep adding them, we keep adding them. Expansion Crush, Jimmy Austin, we're going to book those in. You'll see those updates tomorrow. And those points are what you win or what you lose. If you get it right, if you get it wrong. And of course, the end of the competition is the end of the championship game. All I do declares have to be in before kickoff of the very first game of week 0. Let me get back. Thank you, Expansion Crush. All it does is take as a super chat, Jason Spangler. A super chat to get an I do declare in. And money is going to go, the I do declare money is going to go to the Special Olympics of Minnesota. But YouTube, this is not an official charity drive, and this is not a gambling competition. No one's winning money. And I'm gonna spend money to get a trophy out. I'm gonna ship it. The trophy is going to be made by societyawards.com. So YouTube algorithm, YouTube AI, are you listening to me? This is not a official charity drive, and in no way is this a gambling competition. I've been told I've got to make that clear so YouTube does not shut me down. We're having fun. People are donating. People are doing super chats in the normal way. There is no gambling going on here. Somebody's going to win a trophy. I'm going to ship it. The little general and I are going to get it. All right? Everybody understand? YouTube? Do you understand YouTube? Okay. Drake Lindsay. Arrested on underage drinking and fake ID charges. So he's going to turn 21 in August. He was drinking. Okay. I went to St. Cloud State University, and there is no university in the state of Minnesota that is known for its drinking and partying more than St. Cloud University. It's the only university that would have ever accepted me. All right? That's what I'm talking about. And I graduated in 1991, May 21st, or May 20th, or something like that. And there was this very famous protest. The police came in, I think it was 1990 or 89. Somebody Google that. 1989, 1990, St. Cloud State. A lot of arrests were made. I get it, man. I do. I get it. We drink when we're not 21. Fake IDs. I get it. But Drake Lindsay is not us. Sorry. I don't mean to rip on all of you. All right? I love all of it. I just got done telling you, I love, if it wasn't you guys, we would not have this program. But you are not Drake Lindsay. I am not Drake Lindsay. Drake Lindsay is making over $1 million. Drake Lindsay is the quarterback. Drake Lindsay is a leader of a team in which the University of Minnesota and its boosters and everything else have invested millions of dollars into the program for this year. You want to be an adult? You want to have a contract? You want to get paid money? You got to act like an adult and you got to pay the consequences. At Minnesota 247, there is a thread that I have put my comments in, and I am like the army of one over there, or maybe two people. Everyone is giving Lindsay a slap on the back saying, good job, you're college students, you should have fun, you should do this, you should do that. It's not the end of the world. He's not going to get kicked off the team. I think you should get a half a game suspension. I don't think you should start for the first half against Eastern Illinois. Call me uptight. Call me a strange old fool in the chat room. Go ahead. Bring it. But there's got to be accountability. There's got to be accountability. The little general agrees with me on this. There's got to, look, it's not just about drinking a beer when you're 20 years old. It's about making the decision to have a fake ID made for you and to put it in your pocket and use it to have a drink. That is bad decision making. I understand. He didn't hurt anybody. He did not drive. I'm not trying to condemn the young man. Failure is growth. He's going to grow from this. He better grow from this. But you got to be accountable for this. You are a quarterback, an emerging quarterback. 18 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 63% completion percentage with a team that couldn't run the ball a lick last year. You were sensational last year. You were just highlighted from Yahoo Sports the day before. You are one of the top 25 picks in the first round projections from Yahoo Sports that was put out yesterday. You were number 24 on the list. I put it on my you're not Greg Pflugar, the bum from St. Cloud State. You are not Expansion Crush. You are not Yogi Buck. You're the leader of a football program that's got millions of dollars invested in. So, look, most likely Drake Lindsay is going to be just fine. He's a good kid. I've heard him in many interviews. Very intelligent. Did what a lot of us did. But Drake Lindsay, you're going to have to come to the point where you gotta know that you're not a lot of us. You're not us. You are you. You are you. You're a leader of a football program. The quarterback is an essential position. You are a very essential guy. You're getting paid a lot of money. Get out of Arkansas. Get back up to here. Let's go, Drake Lindsay. Get your ID in August. Your real ID 21. Anyways, that is my thoughts. I get it. He wasn't driving. I said he wasn't driving. But, and I'm not, he's most likely he's going to be just fine. But I'm not going to sit here and pat the guy in the back. Am I wrong? Tell me I'm wrong. Am I look, I'm not going to say good job. I mean, I see Golden Gopher fans, they're putting gold teeth on his picture. They're celebrating this. Most of them are I'm not. Call me an old fool. Call me an old fool. I am not celebrating this. I'm not condemning. I'm not celebrating. Let's go. Let's get back on track. Let's get back on track. You're wrong, Greg. You're making sense, Greg. Okay. All right. Okay. Let the damn child drink. Hey, that's coming from Don Scruggs, of course. That is coming from the Georgia Bulldog. Look, and there's one more thing to it. Hold on, everybody. And then we're going to get off this. We're going to get off this. All right? We're going to get off this. But I got one more thing to say about this. I might be wrong. I might be acting a little bit too rough on the kid. All right? And I'm going to go ahead and plead guilty. I don't even think he was drunk, guys. I don't. He just had a. He even said I had a drink before I even arrived there. But okay. Let me put it in. Let me put it into college football talk here. We're Minnesota. We're not Georgia. We're not Texas. We're not Alabama. We're not Ohio State. We're not Michigan. We're not Indiana. Not anymore. The only thing that the Golden Gophers have got going for them is PJ Flex culture. That's why we won 9 bowl games in a row. That's why we're above 500 in the Big Ten. That's why we're punching above our weight constantly. It's our culture. We can't have this. We finally get a quarterback in here that has skills. As a freshman, look at the season he had as a freshman. And he had no running game, no offensive line. And our wide receiver number 1 was Lameke Brockington, who's not even a wide. He's a blocking. He was our number 1. What Drake Lindsay did last year was a miracle. It's a miracle that we got Drake Lindsay. So we can't just let this go. There's got to be accountability. We can't let this slide. We don't have anybody. This is it. Drake Lindsay saved us from losing against Purdue last year. That's how close we were from slipping off No, we can't allow this. Drake Lindsay is not us. And the Gophers are not you. We can't allow this to happen. All right? Okay, that's it. That's it. I'm done. I'm done with this. All right. Hold on one second. Let's bounce to the UCF story here. Bounce into the UCF story. UCF backs the Big 12's Redbird deal, but won't take the credit option. Brandon Helwig, 247, UCF. So UCF was maybe one of those Big 12 schools that we all thought maybe would take the deal. But they're not. UCF will not be taking the money. The athletic director confirmed Friday. That's today that UCF Athletics will not exercise the one-time capital credit option made available to the Big 12 member schools, though the conference's newly ratified partnership with Redbird Capital and Weatherford Capital. UCF supports the Big 12 new business development partnership with Redbird Capital and the opportunities it creates across the conference. This is a forward-thinking, proactive approach that will help drive future revenue growth. UCF Athletics will not exercise the one-time credit option. So UCF, they like the deal for the Big 12, but they're not going to be one of the schools that takes the one-time credit offer up to $30 million. So, who in the Big 12 is going to take the credit line? Number one, I got a question for you. Who do you think in the Big 12 is going to take up to $30 million in credit, in money, on the credit line? And number two, are we sure that we're going to ever find out who does take it? I do think it's probably going to become public information if a public university does it. I will tell you that when the Big 12 was talking to private equity and talking about all these deals, that Baylor was a big support. They were supportive of some type of equity deal. Now, I don't know if that means that Baylor is going to take this option, but Baylor Bears, the institution, was in favor of the Big 12 exploring all of this, and I think that might be a school that we look into. Iowa State might be that public university that does the credit line. Hopefully we'll find out. But what schools do you think is going to do it? Thank you, Buckeye Greg. I'll take a look at it. Utah will apply and most likely be denied. I don't think anyone will take, I don't think anyone can be denied. I think the option is out there for every school. Rich Austin says Kansas State will probably take the money. Rod Nick says Iowa State for sure. And 10% interest is why some will not take it. Azan, I will get to that in a moment. I do appreciate it. Azan the Kid, Rock, Chop, Jayhawk. Utah is poor. They will. MBM. Throwing an elbow at the Utah Utes. I'm keeping up the fight, Jason. I'm keeping up the fight. Look, I'm also being selfish here. I'm also being selfish. I don't want this kid to slide off. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Azan the Kid, super chat. Azan the Kid, I do declare we beat Missouri and Kansas State this year. Wow, $2 holler. Valuation, is that a 5 or a 4? You haven't beat Kansas State. When's the last time Kansas has defeated Kansas State? I'm going to have to give this a 5. I'm going to have to give this a 5. Bush was president. Yeah, we're going to have to give this a 5. 17 years. All right, we'll give that a 5. And then you throw in Missouri, that's a 5. That's a 5er. That's a 5er. Thank you, Azan the Kid. That will be booked. You're going to see that listed on tomorrow's show. Thank you, Azan the Kid. Very much appreciate it. Very much appreciate it. Feinbaum called Yormark a huckster commissioner in his interview yesterday. with Justin Williams from The Athletic, completely trashed the Big 12 as a desperate conference. Well, I have actually reported that here on the live show. Feinbaum believes that the Big 12 shouldn't even be a power conference. There's a lot of people in the SEC that has a hard time. The way they look at the Big 12 is not how the Big 12 thinks they look at them. It's not, I mean, yeah, there is a lot of, I should say the SEC talking heads. That's why it is so important. I know it's just one game. It shouldn't be this important, but it is. The Big 12 has to lay it down in the playoff game, and they got to beat somebody. TCU did it, but they got to get another victory in the play. They've got to come out. Somebody's got to go in the playoffs and win. The Big 12 has to have a huge positive narrative getting pushed by the end of the season. It's got to happen. It just has. I know it's unfair. I know it, but it's not about being fair. It's about the reality. It's got to happen. It's got to happen. I wouldn't say that. It was a missed opportunity. Jason Spangler, the Texas Tech loss, sent the conference back a decade. It didn't. I think that's a little. They just got to get out there and win. That's it. Win. Your mark has struck a nerve in Birmingham. The SEC does trash the Big Ten as well. You're absolutely correct, BYU football. Absolutely correct. All right. Okay, let's get back to the... I want to get to your phone calls here. Monologue has gone on for an hour and 17 minutes. I appreciate everybody coming here. Oh, excuse me. I do want to thank... let's get to the big story here. Helmer Hennison, Bimba 75, 79, Heartbreak 25, Preston from Greensboro, North Carolina, in the massive super chat, incredible generosity by Expansion Crush and Azon the Kid. Thank you guys for your I do declare comments. Thank you guys so very much. Expansion Crush, appreciate it, sir. In regards to Amazon and the conversation that I had today, Amazon is going to, Amazon's going to show everybody what they can do for, this is one university, one Duke University. What could Amazon do for a conference? So people are going to watch what Amazon can do for Duke, because unless something crazy happens, and I don't think, look, a lot of crazy things are going to happen probably this month, probably next month, but I don't think any conference, well, I should not, no power conference is going to be having any media rights negotiations with Amazon or anybody else for the year of 2026. Okay? At least I don't think so. And we gave you this peek around the corner, this chatter behind the corner before it was first publicly put out there by Ross Dellinger. But there is this anticipation, the chatter behind the curtain, that the SEC and ESPN will do an early negotiations for a new media package well before the 2032. Their current contract runs to 2034. I mean, we're talking even possibly all this happening next year. In other words, the SEC is going to try to do an NFL to push up their media rights negotiations way early. And ESPN is probably, I'm going to use the word probably, motivated to do this. Now, why would they do that? Why would they do that? They've got such a great deal with the Southeastern Conference, just like they've got a great deal with the ACC. The SEC is undervalued. The SEC is undervalued. But it's gotten to the point where everybody, I mean, you've got Amazon lurking. You've got Netflix lurking. You might even have YouTube, Google lurking. You want to, with your best, most valuable college football content, you don't want to squeeze them. You saw what the SEC did to CBS. CBS did not want to go in the early negotiations with the SEC, and the SEC basically said, you're not even going to be part. In their exclusive window, it got to the point where the SEC said, you're not going to bump up our $55 million for Tier 1 rights. We are so much more valuable than that. But CBS said no. So the SEC said, we're going to say no to you eventually. ESPN doesn't want that. Now, I'm not saying that the SEC has all this advantage, because they don't. They don't. But it's more equal than I think a lot of people would realize. You've got Amazon out there, ladies and gentlemen. ESPN is motivated to probably lock up, to make sure that their number one college football content, college sports content, is happy and locked up. So Amazon is making a huge impact in the Holy Smokes Theater in college football. And they haven't even shown a college football game yet. The deal with Duke is for 3 non-conference basketball games. But that's how big the giant is. Let's go into the Holy Smokes Theater. Because the part of the conversation that I had today, I haven't even talked about yet, because I wanted to wait until the back half of the monologue. If you missed the first half of the monologue, go back and watch it. But we're gonna push this a little bit forward here. For those who've been watching this program, you know that we reported this. We put Amazon in the Holy Smokes Theater, and we reported that the Big Ten, their actions going forward, is going to have Amazon as part of it. Now, Amazon might not end up being part of it. They probably will, but it's definitely not a definite. But Amazon is going to be part of the thought process for the Big Ten. Just like Notre Dame. The Big Ten, their decisions going forward, has Notre Dame as part of what they're thinking. Amazon occupies the same place for the Big Ten. So, when we're talking about future expansion, we're always talking about candidates that can check off enough boxes to get the votes to become a Big Ten member. We talk about the presidents, we talk about Fox, and potential future media partners. We talked about NBC, CBS, Fox, and now we got to talk about Amazon. What would Amazon want? What would they pay for? I think we've gotten a few clues. Again, what does Duke basketball bring? A certain demographics. a certain high value brand. Basketball isn't what drives expansion, but the demographics do. The right blend does. You got to have the right blend. Oregon and Washington were the right blend. Fox wanted the whole city of Los Angeles, so UCLA became the right blend for USC. The right blend. So what if Amazon, how big a piece is Amazon going to get with the Big Ten, if they get the Big Ten? Because that is in the Big Ten's mind. They're probably not going to be the major leading media company. It's probably still going to be Fox, but although I think that's less assured than ever, as we have reported for 6 months, that there's something in the water about Fox, and I do not know what it is. But Amazon, if they come into the Big Ten, it's not going to be just for a few games. They're going to get their piece, just like they tried a few years ago. So what does Amazon want? Amazon, more than anybody else, they want the right demographics. They want the right demographics. They want the correct demographics. They want a buying demographics. They want people to spend. Now, this is obvious. ESPN wants that. Every media company wants that. They want their national advertisers to advertise on their platform. That is all obvious. But Amazon wants they want a certain valued demographics. They don't want old people like me. They want young people with spending, the motivation to spend, and to have the money and spend it. Go look at, on the next show, go look at, go ahead and look at, they want program with marketable stars. Yes. They want the eyeballs. And then once they get the eyeballs, they want those eyeballs to spend money and to use Amazon. To spend money and use money on the advertisers that advertise on Amazon. Go look to see what parts of the country, what locations use Amazon. Go check out and see what locations use the highest per capita and use Amazon services. Any buy demographics Duke could bring on is offset by their tiny alumni base. Viewership is going to drop. I'm not going to go from app to app during advertisers. Now, BYU football is correct in that when Thursday Night Football went to Amazon, the viewership did drop. But it's gone back up. So it's going to take a while. The right blend. Rich Austin. Amazon loves the Salt Lake City market. Blending Utah and Stanford would give Amazon exclusive Friday night content. Every day Amazon visits my house. Wendy is an addict. MM10112MD. How about this, Greg? Amazon services leaders in U.S. Bay Area in D.C., California, and Virginia. Kenneth Maynard, Duke has the right blend for demographic and economic diversity for Amazon. Big brands is what Amazon wants. Amazon is all in Florida. Eyeballs and deep wallets, Duke basketball. Hey, Greg, Timberwolves knocked out the Nuggets. That's pretty impressive. No Ant-Man. Hopefully Io is healthy. Dusunu is he has a calf problem. He's had it all year long. Terrence Shannon Jr. Another Illinois Fighting Illini. He's been injured this year as well. He's going to have to play, and he played spectacularly last night. The problem with Terrence Shannon Jr. is that the head coach, Bill Fitch, had him, when he did play, and it wasn't very often, but when he did play, he had him in the corner, but he's really ball dominant. You know, he loves going to his left, and you really can't be ball dominant on the Timberwolves unless you're Anthony Edwards. But they're going to have to let him rock and roll. They're going to have to let Terrence Shannon Jr. just put up a bunch of shots. Eyeballs doesn't matter. Duke is probably paying Amazon under the table to promote their desirability. I don't think so. Now, is Duke... I don't think Duke is getting a whole bunch of money for this. I don't think... Now, I'll go the other way. A lot of people are saying, look. If this is what Notre Dame should get a deal with Amazon. Ohio State should go independent and get a deal with Amazon. USC... No, what Duke is getting out of this deal is NIL opportunities. That's what Duke is getting. And that is if you sign on, if you're the Big Ten and Amazon goes after 28 football games, 28 basketball games, and says, we'll pay you X amount, and somebody else offers the same amount of content and offers the same amount of money, but Amazon has in there, but Amazon is trying to, excuse me, Amazon is looking at, and we're gonna watch how this works. So we're gonna have evidence either way. What does Amazon do for the Duke basketball players and the other Duke athletes? We did hear that there's going to be more stuff coming out on this deal. We haven't seen all of it. But I don't think Duke is getting a whole bunch of I don't think they're getting all of this money. They're getting some money. When it comes to the ACC unequal revenue sharing, you know, the metrics, the algorithms, they've got this whole thing where Duke is not coming out ahead on that. Duke football viewership isn't way up there. And the basketball, the metrics that they have set up, Duke they're not able to catch up with their big basketball viewership. So this is a way for Duke to show their value. It was a very good day for Duke yesterday, even though a lot of people in the chat room does not like to believe it was a good day for Duke yesterday. All right, let's get to your phone calls here. Talk about anything in college football that your heart desires. The Oklahoma Sooners. The Oklahoma Sooners. You know what? We didn't even do. Hold on. I'm sorry, guys. I am taking the phone off the hook. Taking the phone off the hook. Holy smokes. I'm taking the phone off the hook. I do apologize. Hold on, everybody. Hold on. I'm calling a timeout. We've got a super chat. We got a super chat from Leslie Hill. Thank you, Leslie. I appreciate it. $5 holler. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We do have breaking news. I haven't even done the Oklahoma Sooner Spotlight. Let's get to the breaking news first. Breaking news. Thank you, Buckeye Greg. I do appreciate it. We've got breaking news. I'm sorry, I was not prepared for the breaking news. And of course, Scott Docterman, the Big Ten generates a whopping $1.47 billion, disperses $1.37 billion to its members in the first year after the media rights deal, college football playoff expansion. I cannot get to this from my computer. I can get to it from on my phone. So I'm going to read you some information on this after we go through the Oklahoma Sooner Spotlight. The Big Ten generates a whopping $1.47 billion. And again, the thing about this is the Big Ten keeps making more money than is projected. And we have tried to report to you all that the last expansion of the Big Ten has brought in more money than it was ever projected. That it is, at least in the bank vaults, it has been a huge success. Right now, it seems like a huge success when it comes to, the Big Ten's competing, they're winning championships. But that last expansion has done more for the conference than they thought it would. And they thought it would do great for the conference. The Big Ten brought in more money than it's costing, way more than to bring in those 4 schools. That's why we got to be careful when we say that the Big Ten can't do that, the SEC can't do that, the Big 12. I think we're too static in our valuations. Like this school would only bring in this much. So therefore, there are different ways to make money as a conference. And if you pick the right schools with the valuation, the Big Ten brought in about $500 million more after this expansion. And I'm sorry, they're not. Oregon and Washington have a great argument to make right now that they should get paid full freight. That's the first thing that pops in my head. Anyways, so when we talk about future expansion, it's hard for the Big Ten to say no to it because the last one has done so well for them. Now, maybe the next one is going to go completely pear-shaped on them. Maybe the Big Ten is going to make a bunch of mistakes. Maybe it's going to cause a fraction in the Big Ten. Years from now, the Big Ten might split apart. Everything bad might happen. All that is possibly true. I'm not going to take anything off the table. But I'm just trying to illustrate why the Big Ten is like, all right, National Conference, couple in the Southeast. Hey, Notre Dame, look what's going on here. No, I mean, there are reasons why they're going to press their advantage. Press their advantage. Now, if this expansion would have gone total pear-shape on them, if there would have been more complaints than just traveling, if the national advertisers were not interested, if the Big Ten Network did not keep raising, the Big Ten Network is printing money. But if it would have went the opposite way, then the Big Ten would not be in all these discussions with a bunch of NDAs with Georgia Tech and Duke and Florida State and Clemson and North Carolina, and all. None of this would be happening. But the Big Ten is well above projections. And the other schools know that. You don't think Florida State knows? They're looking at what they're like, holy crap. Of course we gotta try to get there. I mean, it's a magnet. And what the SEC is doing, it's an absolute magnet. People want to join your conference, and they're willing to cut a deal with you. So 6 years from now, 5 years from now, 4 years from now, those schools can get the full benefit of being in the SEC and the Big Ten. It's exactly what Memphis is trying to do to get to the Big 12, the ACC. It's like what South Florida is going to try to do. It's like what UConn's. Everyone's trying to get to the higher ground, and the higher ground has become so much more valuable than ever before. To get to the Southeastern Conference, people are going to be willing to, and I say this, I'm not going to say it. People are going to be willing to do more than ever before to get to the Southeastern Conference, to get to the Big Ten. And then to be able to get into the Big 12 and to the ACC, the backfield. It's a buyer's market out there. We'll get to that here in a little bit. We'll get to that in a little bit. All right. First of all, let's get to the Oklahoma Sooners. We're going to get back into that the Athletic article from Scott Dochterman. But we got to get into the John. We'll do this real quick here. The Oklahoma Sooners spotlight. John Mateer, quarterback, over 2,800 yards, passing yards, 14 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Not all that good. Now, John Mateer did have a hand injury last year. He was going from Washington State to play in the SEC for Oklahoma. Big step in competition, 62.2% completion percentage, 431 yards. I like John Mateer. I don't think his ceiling is as high as a lot of people would have liked, but John Mateer is a good quarterback, gutsy quarterback. Year 2 in SEC country. Hopefully John Mateer does not have a hand injury or any other injuries to slow him down. The running back position, you've got Blaylock, who I really think is an RB2. Torrey Blaylock for Oklahoma. Maybe some Sooners in the chat room. I know we've got Cope, who's a Sooner. Maybe he can tell me different. But I think Xavier Robinson is going to be RB1. 5.1 yards per rush, 4 rushing touchdowns, 15 interceptions. Satinga, monster year last year. Isaiah Satinga, 67 receptions, 965 yards receiving, 14.4 average per reception, 8 receiving touchdowns. Parker Livingston, this is something. Oh my gosh. Parker Livingston transferring from Texas to Oklahoma. Transferring from Texas to Oklahoma. 29 receptions, 516 yards, 17.8 average, 6 receiving touchdowns, an emerging Parker Livingston. Now, why did he go from Texas to Oklahoma? Does anybody at Texas, anybody at Oklahoma, can they fill us in the chat room or with a phone call later on? This was a big moment when Parker Livingston went in the portal and went to Oklahoma. Texas Longhorns podcast went after the young man. How could you possibly do that? How could you play for the Burnt Orange and then go Boomer Sooner? But that's what he did. That's what he did. Parker Livingston is now a Sooner. Go Black 45. Isaiah Parents both played at LSU and didn't even get a legacy offer. I tell you, this guy's got some juice to him, though. Parker Livingston's got some juice. Can stretch the field. It was really his first full year as wide receiver. I think his second year in college football. David Stone, the defensive tackle. Defensive lineman for the Sooners. The big guy up the middle. The big guy up the middle. 42 combo tackles. 8 tackle for losses. Expecting big things out of David Stone. He's going to be an NFL draft pick. Here is the Sooners regular season. UTEP, and then at the Big House. Bryce Underwood versus John Mateer. Game number 2, September 12th. Oklahoma, New Mexico, then on the road against Georgia. On the road against Michigan. On the road against Georgia. At home against Texas. Those 3 games in your first 5 games. Cope is in the house. Cope. You've got Michigan, you've got Georgia, you've got Texas. Holy smokes. Then it gets a little bit easier. Kentucky, Mississippi State, South Carolina. So the back half of October is doable. Florida, Mississippi, Texas A&M, and Mizzou. Woo! My goodness. Woo! My goodness. My goodness. That is the schedule. Oklahoma's got a very difficult schedule. But that's what they wanted. That's what the Oklahoma Sooners wanted. And again, in my PATC, way too early SEC predictions, I've got the Sooners at number 8. At the bottom of the top half of the SEC conference, behind Florida, behind Bama, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Georgia, LSU, Texas. And of course, behind Oklahoma, we got South Carolina, Tennessee, Missouri, Auburn, Vanderbilt, Arkansas, Mississippi State, and Kentucky. Let me know how wrong I got it once again. Let me know how wrong I got it once again. We've got a $5 super chat. That has been your Oklahoma Sooners spotlight. And again, sorry we had to rush through that. We've had a big show. And now we got some breaking news. I got to take a look at it here. Ryan Willie will get to you in a moment. Ryan Willie will get to you in a moment. I apologize. Just let me figure out what I'm trying to figure out. Oh boy. Hold on, everybody. All right, let me do the super chat here. I do have the article on my phone. We've got ourselves Evil Badger. Evil Badger, $5 holla. Evil Badger, the conferences could be in trouble if schools do their own deals. That's something to think about. No question about it. I happen to think that's not really going to come into play, but I could be wrong. I think Amazon is going to look for conference deals. Standalone is pretty risky. Standalone deals are pretty risky. That's why you don't see them. That's why you don't have schools being independent. When you bundle content together and you sell it, it becomes more valuable. But anyways, that's something to think about. Thank you for the $5 holler, Evil Badger. I very much appreciate it. Let me get to this, the Athletic Scott document. The Big Ten generated $1.47 billion in fiscal year 24-25. Distributed $1.37 billion to its 18 members. Revenue surged $540 million above the conference's previous high. And the league dispersed $490 million more to the schools in fiscal 25 than the previous year. The total distribution was $340 million higher than what the Southeastern Conference announced in February. For perspective, the Big 12 reported $460 million in overall revenue in its most recent available tax return. So the Big 12 reported $460 million. The Big 10 reported $1.47 billion. The Big 10 is 2 more schools, but you can see the difference. The league's 55% revenue increase stemmed from several factors. It marked the league's first 18-member season, its first full year under the Big Ten's media rights agreement, which brought in more than $1 billion, and it coincided with the inaugural 12-team college football playoff. 4 Big Ten teams qualified to advance. Ohio State won the tournament. 16 of the league schools are fully vested members and receive full shares, but their total amount varied by CFP participation. Ohio State secured $91.55 million conference payout. The Buckeyes are at $91.55 million conference payout. I mean, that is now double what the Big 12 and the ACC schools are getting in conference payouts. Penn State, 88.9. Indiana, 81. And the 13 other members collected between 76 and 79. Oregon and Washington received only partial shares and earned 48 and 46 million respectively. And there it is. So, but the schools are broke, Greg. But the schools are broke. Well, the Minnesota is. So if anybody wants to donate to the University of Minnesota, go ahead. I would appreciate that. I would appreciate that. I remember when people said this would never happen back when we were talking about a $51 million payout. Yeah. The conference has a war chest. Big Ten money is printing machines, working overtime. Yeah, it's something else. Okay, now we're going to open up the phone lines. I do apologize. We don't have a whole lot of time left, but we're going to open up the phone lines, see if we get a call in 763-260-1333, 763-260-1333. We're taking, I want to make sure I got caught up with the donations here. Expansion Crush, Hammer Hennison, Bimba 75-79, Heartbreak 25, Preston from Greensboro, Azon the Kid, Leslie, and Eva Badger. Thank you guys for your donations. Very much appreciate it. Very much appreciate it. Expansion Crush, thank you for that massive super chat. Holy smokes. UCLA has to pay Calamoni with their share. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. Waiting for the Big Ten bubble to burst, and it could. Nothing is forever. Nothing is forever. Expansion Crush. If I'm the SEC, I'm pissed at ESPN. They continue to underpay, which I think there's a lot of motivations on both sides to renegotiate. Tristan 5, the floor is yours. Thanks for calling, sir. I very much appreciate it.
Hey, Greg. Thanks for taking my call.
You got it, buddy.
Listen, I want to comment on this Duke story, and I want to get your feedback on the idea. So it's an out-of-conference game. They're playing at a neutral site. And who is it again that they're playing?
They're playing UConn, Michigan, and who is the other team, guys? I keep forgetting the other team.
Okay.
They're playing UConn in Vegas. They're playing Michigan, and I think in Detroit.
Okay.
And they're playing somebody in New York City.
Right. So these are all major programs, and these games are, I'm sure, expected to get very high ratings.
Yeah.
So here's my thought. Greg, when I first heard this story, my instant reaction was, this is Duke taking a shot across the bow of ESPN. I think that if there's a real danger of UNC going to the SEC, that Duke wants ESPN to know that they need to bring Duke along with UNC.
I think you're onto something. I don't think you're on something. I think you're on. I think this is Duke telling everybody, this is how valuable we truly are. Not this unequal revenue sharing crap. This is how valuable we are. Don't leave us behind. Don't leave us behind.
Yeah.
And they had the leverage with ESPN. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, and so I'm thinking that, Duke is trying to be that second team from North Carolina. I want to remind folks here that, in the SEC's history, modern history, Sewanee doesn't count. Okay, in their modern history, they've never had three schools from the same state. And this is the dynamic that's being probably debated within SEC circles and with ESPN. For political reasons, UNC probably has UNC in tow. NC State going along with them, I would expect. And then, of course, ESPN wants Duke. And I think the SEC is probably being put in a situation where they're having to fend off having three schools from one state like that. And from the SEC perspective, I'm certain, and I've made this comment before, they'll take three schools from Texas and or Florida before they'll take it from North Carolina. And I think that's the big debate that's going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's all I had. I just wanted to get your feedback on that.
Let's go. Let's go back to your last part of that statement. You're saying it is more likely that the SEC would end up with 3 Florida schools than 3 North Carolina schools, correct?
That my feeling is that they would prefer 3 Florida schools before having 3 North Carolina schools.
I would agree with you. I think and I agree with you, flat out. I think most people would. The question is what does the SEC need to do? In other words, they don't need to add 2 Florida schools. They're not going to get they're not going to need to add 2 more Florida schools to be able to do whatever they want to do. In other words, you don't have to get Miami to get Florida State, and if you want to revert, you don't have to pick up both of them. You can just take one.
Greg, I think you're correct. I think I agree with what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why I'm looking out like 10, 15 years, and I'm thinking to myself, the SEC probably really is serious way down the road of going after a school like South Florida. Huge student body, AAU University, located in a huge, city within the state, and they know they can't take Florida State and Miami at the same time and meet their goals. Miami's not even really a school they want. And so I think from the SEC perspective, my expectation would be that they would want to go ahead and get Florida State if they can. Now, Greg, it might be that Florida State prefers the Big Ten. We need to consider that as a legit possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but I think from the SEC perspective that they would like to get Florida State because they've wanted them in the past. They're still sitting there. They're even more valuable today with the changes at the university. They're getting the hospital. They're going to be in the AAU eventually, I think. And they're too good to pass up. It's ridiculous that the SEC hasn't moved on them already, in my opinion. But and it may be, and I feel like also, Greg, that with this Virginia situation, I really don't think that UNC knows what they want to do. Honestly, I don't think there's enough consensus for them to go to the SEC. And I think the small scoop that the SEC might have to go for might very well be Florida State, Kansas. A new state, a basketball blue blood, rounding out the West, and then that second school in Florida that they've always wanted and haven't been able to get for the last 30 years. So, those are my thoughts. I know they're worthless. I don't really have any inside information.
They're definitely not worthless. They're definitely not worthless. Love your calls, Tristan. I think some people agree with you, sir.
Yeah, okay. Well, hopefully, I still want, Greg, North Carolina and Virginia to end up in the Big Ten. Mm-hmm. I'm still rooting for that outcome. Just from a neutral fan perspective.
Yeah.
I think that Virginia Tech and NC State and the SEC, and then you've got in-state rivalries involving both conferences. I just think that'll be a lot of fun as a fan.
Yep.
So anyway, listen, you keep up the good work, and I'll talk to you later.
All right. I appreciate it, sir. Thank you for the phone call.
Thanks, Greg.
Beautiful. Beautiful phone call. You know what? I am surprised. Expansion crush. South Florida is AAU now. UCF could also be very soon. UCF has a huge government research expenditures. I am surprised that none of you PATC Einsteins have brought up. We covered that earlier in the program, MGC Sooner. So if people are looking for Drake Lindsay news, check it out. Or pretty early in the program, we covered it. And I think a lot of people will be surprised the take that I have on it. I'm surprised that none of you PATC Einsteins in the chat room that I have seen so far haven't brought up the potential at least the talking point, the potential narrative about Redbird Capital getting into the Big 12, the situation here, striking a deal with the Big 12, Brett Yormark, Redbird Capital, Paramount and all that, but there was another part of that deal that no one's really talking about. Since this has happened, yesterday's breaking news. What about the Weatherford Capital part of that deal? Weatherford. Oh, Weatherford. The man who is the chairman of the board. I think he's the chairman of the board. He's got some big high title at the University of South Florida. Did that deal, Redbird Capital, and Weatherford Capital, did that deal with the Big 12 kind of grease the skids for a potential entry of the University of South Florida? The University of South Florida, where you can have that I-90 corridor battle between the UCF and USF once again in Big 12 country this time. What about a combination of UConn and USF before whatever happens to the ACC? Is that a good blend? UConn and USF? A little bit of football here, a big old both big markets, by the way. USF Tampa. You hook that in with Orlando with UCF. I don't know. I'm surprised that nobody has brought this up since yesterday's breaking news. Or was that the day before? That was the day before, excuse me. I mean, every day there's big, huge breaking news. So, I don't know. I had not heard of that, the chatter behind the curtain. But again, something to keep an eye on. USF now has somewhat of a voice inside the Big 12. But again, the Big 12 is probably going to hold out and be patient. Be patient for whatever happens in the ACC. But, USF's future is probably not in the AAC. But we'll find out together. We'll continue to cover this story and all the other stories in college football. I want to thank you all for joining us. I appreciate the phone call, Tristan. I'm sorry we ran out of time. It was a big, big, big show. Thank you all for those who donated this program, Expansion Crush. Thank you for the massive donation. Thank you, Eva Badger, and the rest of you. I've already went through the list of names. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you all for showing up today. Guys, I appreciate it. Please smash the like button before you leave. It helps us here at Peek Around the Corner. We did the Oklahoma Sooners Spotlight. John Mateer, Xavier Robinson, Satinga, big-time receiver Isaiah Satinga. David Stone, big-time defensive tackle. That schedule, though, the Oklahoma Sooners schedule, that's going to be a challenge. Second week of the season, they got to go to Ann Arbor. John Mateer, Bryce Underwood, Kyle Whittingham, Brett Venables. I wish college football was starting now, but I know it's not. But again, we'll be starting again tomorrow. Live show tomorrow on a Saturday, May 2nd. Buckle up. Praise for Impact. We'll see you again tomorrow. Until next time, from all of us at PATC to all of you, please you all take great care of each other. And as always, God, family,